Gemini, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rosa Victoria and I am the creator of the Misfit Business Lounge, a brand that steps you into ultimate wealth creation whilst connecting with the most soulful and medicine-driven version of yourself. And so if you're here to connect with spirit and science and yourself, you have come to the right platform. Drop me a like and subscribe down below. Now, my spicy little Geminis, we are back for an end of year recap as to everything that Spirit is bringing to the surface. Now, as I'm diving into your energy, Gemini, we are ending the year with a need to take a lot of initiative. I feel like right now is your time to really show up for yourself and really be in tune with your desires as well. If you found yourself kind of tolerating temporary feel-goods as a way to avoid your emotions, this is a time to really close those out. And so that could be tolerating relationships with people who aren't right for you. It could be tolerating alcohol. It could be tolerating friendships, things that you know are ultimately keeping you in this cycle. It might be purchasing things that aren't in your highest good and they're keeping you in this stress cycle financially. And so right now is a time of really using your initiative and recognizing that you don't have to fear loneliness. I feel like you've been through a lot. A lot of you who are watching this, you've been through a lot and you're at a point where you don't want to feel lonely right now in your life. And I get that. You want that intimacy and you want that depth. And if we look at from now until the back end of December 2025, for the Gemini, it's all about depth and it's all about welcoming that depth into your life. And so I'm noticing that right now, a lot of you are in this season of, oh, that's not going to the depth that I want. You know, the job's not going to the depth that I want. The this isn't going to the depth that I want. The finances, the relationships. There's so many wake-up calls into where you're settling and what you're tolerating that is not ultimately right for you. Now, when I look at Gemini, I really do see like a split in the next month. And this split is very much not physical. I'm not seeing you splitting away from anybody in your surrounding. But what I am seeing is this split between like the old version of you and the new version of you. And so the ways that you used to disregard yourself, lower your standard, you know, tolerate certain behavior, it's like you're finally splitting away from that and saying, but this is what I want, right? And this is what I want. And I'm not going to be afraid to kind of go after it. Now, I am seeing that communication is laying on your shoulders in December, Gemini. And so if you feel like there's been an energetic gap between you and somebody that you care about, just know that the communication is kind of your responsibility as I'm coming into December. I feel like you are going to have to lead that conversation slightly. And that can be uncomfortable because you might not know how that's going to be tolerated or responded to. But whatever communication you want to have in the December period, Spirit is saying just keep it casual, but go for it. Because I feel like you need to know what response you're getting. And there's a person or a situation. It could be something financially. It could be a relationship. It might be a family member where there's been something that you've wanted to say, but you've been scared to say it. And I feel like it's just going to be driving you round a crazy on loop until you actually have the conversation and bring it to the surface. And so Spirit is coming through right now and encouraging you to use your initiative and have the conversations and lead those conversations. Because let me tell you, whatever that situation is, it might not respond straight away, but ultimately it will eventually. Now, if you're watching this and you're on the career pathway, I do see a bit of a split where you're going into more of where you want to be career-wise. I feel like you've got this safe haven and you've got this risk and it's like weighing up the options. And ultimately, the only thing that slows you down is you, right? Because you're dragging your feet a little bit and you're taking the slow path and you have to be willing to speed it up and say, no, I know what I want. Why am I taking the slow path? Why am I tolerating behavior that is not in my highest good? And so right now, risks need taken. I feel like December for you, Gemini, is very much a time of saying like, okay, I need to do what I've said that I'm going to do and I need to just go for it. Because if you drag your feet, you're going to get this slow energy and that's not ultimately what you want. Now, what's interesting to me is I feel like you're really showing people what you're capable of in the next kind of few weeks to the end of the year. It feels like a lot of people around you have not lost faith in you, but there's been certain things that you've said, right, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this, and it doesn't quite work out, right? And so people have just kind of taken a backward step and they're observing you, whether that be career-wise or relationship-wise. And actually what we're noticing is that as we're going through December, you're like, no, I'm actually going to do it. I'm actually going to do it. I'm going to put my name on the thing. I'm going to push myself forward. And I feel like there's a lot of people that are actually in awe of you. Even if they can't clap and celebrate you, they are in awe of you. And I get the impression that there's certain family members that you've wanted support from, and you've wanted them to say, look, like, you're doing a good job and I really appreciate what you're doing. And they're not necessarily built like that, so they're not going to come across and say that. But what you can be very, very mindful of, Gemini, is that they are silently going to be clapping for you. And so this is your reminder that just because people don't tell you how much you mean to them doesn't mean that it's not felt. And I see this both in a career, relationship, family-wise, where you have more of an impact than what you acknowledge. And I feel right now you're looking for that confirmation, right? You want confirmation that you have that impact. You want people to actively say, hey, I appreciate you. I want to be with you. Or, you know, I want to invest in you career-wise. And you might not be getting that. Now, this is where you're going to have to change the dynamic slightly, because it's all well and good people sitting there and silently clapping for you, but you do deserve that confirmation. You do deserve somebody saying, hey, I want to be with you on a soul level, or I want to, you know, invest in you. I see your value as a leader. And so what I'm noticing right now is that this is a really, really good time for you to actively say, okay, I'm happy for people to silently clap for me, but I am going to raise my standard and say, okay, this is what I need for you, and then see how it bounces back. And so I do feel like there's a getting in tune with your needs so that you can communicate that with the outside world, and getting in tune with needs that you've maybe ignored slightly as well. I feel like you've got so comfortable with the, okay, I'll just let the situation be and I'll just let the timelines be. Actively, you need to say, do you know what? I do need that support, and I do need this, and I do need that. And I do feel like the people around you want to support you and want to be in your life and want to make effort. And so what we're noticing is that when you actually start to speak up and say, like, listen, I need this and I want this, people are going to have to respond to that. And it might not be straight away, but they will be kind of bending over backwards to make you realize that they do appreciate you and they do value you very, very deeply. So I feel like Gemini is very much the energy of like career, finances, relationships, but specifically relationships within career, relationships within finances, relationships within intimacy. And so your relationships are going to be coming to this really deep visibility and clarity for a reason, because you need to be able to kind of address what it is that you want and need, and also let other people know what it is that you want and need, because right now you might be expecting something from them, but ultimately they can't see clearly what it is that you want. And so let me know how this resonated, Gemini. Please drop me a like and a follow, and make sure that you make a comment telling me all the magical breakthroughs that came into your life the back end of the year. Lots of love, and I will see you in January. Bye.